guys, it's Omar, and welcome to Supply Chain Moves. So, this time, we're going to be just talking a little bit about building for scale before actual product market fit. So, here's a mistake that usually happens when things are actually going well. Sales are usually picking up, the product getting good feedback, maybe a few posts hit, paid ads are starting to work, and founders thinking, okay, we might have something here. And that's exciting, of course. And that's the moment that you've been working towards, of course, as a founder. But this is just also the moment where a lot of brands start making supply chain decisions for a version of the business that doesn't exist yet. They go deeper on inventory and add more variants, push for bigger MOQs, upgrade packaging, switch suppliers, maybe even change fulfillment. And at the time that it feels like preparation, but a few months later, they realize that the issue wasn't that they failed to prepare for growth, it's that they prepared for the wrong kind of growth. And they scaled with the assumption before the market actually proved the pattern. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The mistake is building for a scale before product market fit is actually clear. And I want to be careful here because the instinct isn't bad. Founders are supposed to be optimistic. You need that. If you've been building towards a brand, you have to believe this actual brand before the rest of the market agrees with you. And the problem is when that belief turns into big operational commitments too early, and a few strong weeks can make demand feel predictable. But sometimes that demand came from a launch window or a warm audience, a discount, a creator post, or just the novelty of the product. That doesn't mean that the product is weak. It just means you might not know enough yet. And that's a big difference between people bought this and people keep buying this at a margin that makes the business work. And that difference matters a lot in supply chain because once you buy too deep, add too many variants, or build too much infrastructure around an early signal, you lose flexibility. And flexibility is one of the most valuable things a growing DTC brand has. And this is where the mistake gets expensive. Inventory isn't just product on a shelf. Inventory is cash that's already made a decision. Once the money is tied up, you can't use it anywhere else. Can't use it to test better ads, can't fix the landing page, can't fix packaging issues, or hire support or work on the next version of the product. And if the inventory starts moving slower than expected, that brand usually has to force movement, which means discounts. Discounts kill margin, lower margin makes the next reorder harder, and then you end up in this weird spot where the product's customers actually want are the risk of stocking out, while the products you overestimated are just sitting in the warehouse. That's one of the hardest positions to operate from because how the business isn't making decisions from clarity, it's making them from pressure, and pressure creates noise. More SKUs make forecasting harder. More variants make purchasing harder. More suppliers make communication harder. And of course, more packaging versions make fulfillment even harder. So instead of spending time learning what customers actually really want, the team's spending time managing complexity that showed up way too early. And that's the real cost. It's not just the inventory, it's the loss of focus. So here's a real example. We saw this with a brand that has one product starting to work. The first signal was real. Customers really liked it. Sales were coming in. The founder had every reason to be confident, of course. So they made the natural next move. They expanded. More colors, more bundles, better packaging, deeper inventory, bigger supply runs, because the unit cost improved at volume. And honestly, from the outside, you could understand the logic. They were trying to avoid stockouts, trying to improve margin, and of course, trying to look ahead. But once the data came in, the story was uneven. The original product was the clear winner. Some of the new variants were okay, others barely moved, and a few bundles made sense internally, but customers didn't really respond to them. So the brand had created more complexity before it had enough proof. And the team spent the next stretch trying to move slow inventory, protect cash, and figure out which SKUs were actually worth keeping. What helped was simplifying the decision making. We separated products into two categories. Proven products got proper planning, reorder points, supplier focus, the works. Experimental products stayed light, smaller buys, clear success rules. That shift definitely sounds simple, but it changed how the founder looked at growth. not every product idea needed a scale plan, just needed a test. So the fix, the better approach is to scale in layers. Don't ask yourself and don't ask your supply chain to carry more certainty than the market has actually given you. Start with what you've already proven, which products are selling consistently, which ones hold margins without heavy discounting, and which ones do customers come back for, which ones are simple enough to replenish without creating a mess. And those are the products that deserve more structure. That's where you build stronger vendor terms and cleaner reorder points, and of course, better inventory coverage and more reliable forecasting. Everything else, keep it light. And you also need to treat new variants, bundles, colors, and packaging changes like experiments until they earn the small initial buys. And also, you need clean testing windows, clear rules before you reorder. One question I'd like to ask is, what would you need to see before we go deeper? And that forces a better conversation when you're sort of conversating internally. And instead of, we think this will sell, you start saying, if it sells through 70% in 30 days, without discountings, we reorder. If not, we review. And that's much healthier way to grow. It gives the founder optimism, but with guardrails. So permission-wise, here's the permission that I'd give founders at this stage. You're allowed to stay simpler for longer. And that doesn't mean that you're being small. It means you're protecting your liability and your ability to learn. And you can choose fewer SKUs if it gives you cleaner data. You can delay a packaging upgrade if the current version is good enough to keep testing demand. You can accept a slightly higher unit cost early if that helps. You avoid a massive inventory mistake, and you can wait before adding every color, size, or bundle. And the goal isn't to build the most impressive operation. The goal is to build the operation that helps you make better decisions. Because once the signal is clear, scaling becomes easier. And you know what to cover, and you know what to reorder, you know what to kill, you know what to improve, and you know where to negotiate. And you're not trying to grow while dragging a bunch of bad inventory behind you. So the next question for founders is this. Are you scaling from proof or are you scaling from hope? Hope is useful. You need it for sure, 100%. But hope shouldn't be the only input in your inventory pain and your plan. Before you go deeper, get clear on what the market actually has proven. Then build around that. That's how you scale without trapping cash and adding unnecessary complexity or forcing your team to manage a business that isn't ready yet. So yeah, that's it on my end. I just hope that you guys get a little bit of clarity that sometimes if you're due for growth, there are things to consider before you give your money up for things like inventory, which is going to be tied up for quite some period of time. So yeah, come join us again in the next episode. We're going to be talking about way more things about supply chain and how to help you guys. And just to avoid those little mistakes could definitely save you a ton of cash. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. This is Omar. I will see you again soon.